The internet is on fire right now because what just went down between Jim Jones, Chrissy Lampkin, and Camron is the kind of drama reality TV wishes it could script. Just days after what was supposed to be a low-key, behind-the-scenes meetup. Between Chrissy and Camron, a bombshell confession has flipped everything upside down. And now, Jim Jones is furious. Word on the street is Chrissy told Jim the meetup was strictly business. But receipts say otherwise. Not only was it not business, it was personal, emotional, and way too familiar. And once Jim saw the footage, he didn't just feel betrayed. He felt played. The man who stood by Chrissy for years through thick and thin suddenly realized he might have been living a lie. Fans are shocked. The streets are buzzing. And Jim, he's not staying quiet anymore. In an explosive late-night live stream, he exposed everything. How Chrissy lied, how she covered up the meetup, and how Camron might have had something deeper going on with her this whole time. This isn't just about love. This is about trust, loyalty, and a betrayal that's tearing the Dipset family apart. Stick around, because what you're about to hear will leave your jaw on the floor. It started as just another night in Harlem, but something in the air felt different. Jim Jones had just wrapped a quiet dinner with family when his phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, he thought it was nothing, just fans tagging him or maybe a group chat blowing up. But then he saw the name, Camron, and below it, a blurry image. Chrissy and Camron. Together, his fingers froze above the screen. He blinked twice, trying to process what he was seeing. Chrissy, his ride or die, the woman who had been with him through everything, was sitting at a dimly lit lounge with Camron, the very man he hadn't spoken to in months. No warning, no heads up, nothing. And the photo didn't look like some random meetup either. Chrissy was smiling, leaning in. Cam had that slick grin he always wore when he knew he had the upper hand. Jim's heart pounded. He immediately called, "Chrissy." No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Within minutes, the group chat with his inner circle started to light up. "Yo, what's this about Chrissy and Killa? You knew about this? Why's she out here meeting with Cam like that?" Jim didn't have answers. And that's what made it worse. An hour later, Chrissy finally walked through the door like nothing happened. She tossed her purse on the counter and gave Jim a casual kiss on the cheek. But Jim pulled back. "Where you been?" His voice was low, but the tension in the room could be cut with a knife. Chrissy looked up, startled. "What do you mean? I told you I had a quick meeting about the renovation deal in Soho." Jim nodded slowly. "Funny. I didn't know Camron was in real estate now." Her eyes shifted. Just for a second. But it was enough. Jim saw it. Felt it. "Something was off. It's not what it looks like," she said quickly, trying to backtrack. "I ran into him. It wasn't planned." "Nah. You were sitting with him for what? An hour? 2? You ran into him and decided to post up. Like it was date night?" She crossed her arms defensively. "Why are you making this a thing? We just talked?" Jim's voice cracked. "You lied to me." Silence fell between them. Chrissy looked away, biting her lip like she was holding something back. And Jim? He felt the walls close in. Outside, the drama was already boiling over. The blogs picked up the photo within minutes. Fans flooded the comments. "Not Chrissy out here with Cam again? Jim better check this. This looked like old flames rekindling for— Nah, I remember that vibe from season 1. This ain't innocent." Suddenly, the internet was playing detective. Old clips resurfaced from their love and hip-hop days. Scenes where Chrissy and Camron had joked too comfortably. Scenes where Jim looked left out. The whispers turned into shouts. Behind the scenes, Camron wasn't staying silent either. The next morning, he posted a cryptic story. Some folks forget where their heart really belongs. Until they're reminded, Jim saw it. And something in him snapped. He wasn't just angry, he was humiliated. The woman he had built a life with had gone behind his back to meet with a man who once tried to come between them. And now she was acting like it was no big deal. He confronted Chrissy again, this time with fire in his chest. "So you just gonna pretend like this ain't betrayal?" he said, his voice shaking. "You know what me and Cam been through. You know the tension. And you still went." Chrissy sighed. "Jim, you're blowing this way out of proportion. It was a one-time thing. We had some things to clear up. Clear up or stir up?" he shot back. You looked real cozy for someone clearing things up." She looked at him, tears forming. "You don't trust me?" "Not after this. How can I?" That's when she said something that twisted the knife even deeper. "Maybe if you actually talk to me instead of shutting down all the time, I wouldn't need to talk to someone else." Jim stared at her like she had slapped him. "So now it's my fault?" he asked, voice low and dangerous. She stepped back, realizing her words had crossed a line. "I didn't mean it like that." But the damage was done. The next few days were cold, silent. Jim barely spoke. Chrissy tried to act normal, but the tension was everywhere. Fans noticed too. The couple who once shared everything on social media, suddenly silent, no photos, no stories, just a whole lot of speculation. Meanwhile, more footage began to leak. A short video clip, grainy but clear enough. Camron and Chrissy laughing, him placing a hand on hers for just a moment too long, her not pulling away. The moment sent. Shockwaves. Yo, this ain't a meetup. This a whole vibe. Jim needs to wake up. Chrissy moving funny. Cam trying to slide in and he bowled with it. It got to Jim. He could barely sleep. He kept replaying that video in his head. That laugh, that touch. The way Camron looked at her like he still had a piece of her heart. And maybe he did. Then came the text. Anonymous number. No name. Just a message. "You need to ask her about Miami 2018. That's when it really started." Jim's hands trembled as he stared at the screen. Miami 2018. That was the year they hit a rough patch. The year Chrissy had taken a solo trip she said was said to clear her head. He had believed her then, but now? The question twisted in his chest like barbed wire. He walked into the living room, phone still in hand. "Chrissy, I need you to be real with me." She looked up, startled. "About what?" "Miami, 2018. Her face went pale. And just like that, everything broke open. Chrissy didn't speak at first. She sat there frozen, eyes darting between Jim's face and the phone still glowing in his hand. The silence was louder than any answer. And in that moment, Jim knew. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It wasn't just a bad vibe or a grainy video or a cryptic message. It was real. Something had happened in Miami. Something he wasn't supposed to know. "Who told you about that?" Chrissy finally whispered. Jim's throat tightened. "So, it's true." She closed her eyes like she could wish the moment away. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Then why'd you lie?" he snapped. "You looked me in my face and said you needed space. And all this time you were out there with him?" She stood up now, voice rising. "It wasn't like that." "Then tell me how it was," he demanded. Chrissy hesitated, then dropped her gaze. "We talked. We ran into each other at the hotel. We had a drink. It was innocent at first, but it got messy." Jim paced the floor, hands on his head. "Messy how?" "I don't want to do this right now, Jim," she said, voice cracking. "No, we're doing this right now. I've been walking around like a damn fool, defending you, pushing away everyone telling me something ain't right. And the whole time, you were out here, what? Playing house with Cam?" "It wasn't like that," she repeated, but softer this time, more broken. "I was confused. I was angry at you. We weren't talking. You were always out, always with your people. I felt alone. So you went to him. I didn't plan it. It just happened." Jim laughed bitterly. "Nah, things like that don't just happen. You made a choice." Chrissy started to cry now, real tears rolling down her cheeks. "I regretted it the second it happened. I swear. I tried to forget. I tried to bury it. But Cam didn't." Jim muttered. "That's why he's playing games now, posting slick stories, smiling in videos. He's still got something on you." Chrissy didn't deny it. Outside their apartment, the world was watching. Blogs exploded with speculation. Everyone had their own theory. Yo, Chrissy and Cam got history. For real. Jim should have seen this coming. Chrissy been too quiet lately. She hiding something. Cam petty af. He trying to ruin Jim from the inside. Jim's closest friends started weighing in too. One by one, his circle started getting smaller. Some sided with Chrissy, saying she made a mistake and deserved grace. Others told Jim to walk away before it got worse, but Jim wasn't ready to make that call. Not yet. Instead, he did what he hadn't done in years. He called Cam. The phone rang twice before Cam picked up, his voice calm as ever. "Yo, we need to talk," Jim said, barely holding his anger back. About time. They agreed to meet at a neutral spot. No cameras, no entourages. Just the two of them. The moment Jim walked in, it was like stepping into a war zone without bullets. Years of tension, betrayal, and unspoken history sat between them like a ticking time bomb. Cam leaned back in his seat, sunglasses on, sipping something dark. "So, you finally heard the truth?" Jim didn't answer that. "I ain't here to play games," he said. "I need to know. Was Miami the only time?" Cam smirked. "Why you asking me? Ain't that something you should ask her?" "Don't do that," Jim warned. "You know what you did. You stepped in my house, not once but twice, and now you airing it out online like this a mixtape beef." "You really want to know?" Cam said, voice low. "Nah, Miami wasn't the only time." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Jim stood still, fists clenched. "So you telling me you've been sneaking behind my back this whole time?" Cam shrugged. "I didn't sneak. She came to me." "Nah, you lured her in. You always hated what we had." Cam stood now too. "I didn't hate it. I just knew it wasn't real." The tension boiled over. Jim nearly lunged at him, but caught himself. "Not here. Not like this. Stay the hell away from her," he growled. Cam chuckled. "You might want to tell her that." The meeting ended without blows, but it left more destruction than any fight ever could. Jim walked out of there with a heavy heart and a head full of doubt. Everything he thought he knew was now in question. Back home, Chrissy was waiting. He didn't say a word, just looked at her. She tried to speak, but he walked past her straight to the bedroom and locked the door. The next morning, he was gone. No goodbye, no explanation. Just gone. Chrissy panicked. She called everyone. No one had seen him. Then she got the notification. Jim had gone live. Thousands of fans tuned in as Jim sat in a dark studio, hoodie low over his eyes, voice low but fierce. "Every man got a breaking point," he began. "Mine just came wrapped in betrayal." He didn't say Chrissy's name. He didn't have to. Everyone knew. "I gave my heart, my loyalty, my soul, and in return, I got lies. I got secrets, and the worst part, I got it from someone who swore they'd never hurt me." Fans flooded the comments. "OMG, this about Chrissy? He really exposing her, huh?" This man heartbroken through, Chrissy watched with tears streaming down her face. Everything was crumbling, and then Jim dropped the final bombshell. I found the messages, the ones from 2019 and 2021, even last year. It never stopped. And that's what hurt the most. She dropped her phone. Chrissy couldn't breathe. She sat frozen on the couch, phone face down on the rug, her hands trembling uncontrollably. The words echoed in her head. The messages. He had found the messages. Not just from one night in Miami, but from 2019, 2021, even last year. She thought she had deleted everything, but Jim must have dug deeper. Maybe old backups, maybe screenshots, whatever it was. He had enough to go live and lay her bare in front of the world without ever saying her name. The silence in the apartment was crushing. Only the sound of her shallow breathing filled the space. She wanted to run after him, call him, scream, and explain that it wasn't what he thought, but she knew it was exactly what he thought. It was worse. Her mind spiraled back to the first message she sent Cam after Miami. She had told herself it was closure. Just one message. One last check-in. But it didn't stop. It turned into late night. Texts, jokes, frustrations, missing pieces of herself that Cam seemed to understand. She never met up with him again. Not in the physical sense. But the emotional tie? It never snapped. It just went underground, and Jim had found it all. Outside, the world erupted. Social media went insane. Blogs posted screenshots of Jim's live stream dissecting every word, every pause, every shade of heartbreak in his voice. This man talking like he lost his whole soul. Chrissy really did him like that? Damn. And Cam just chilling like he ain't destroy a whole relationship. Even Dipset fans picked sides. Some blasted Cam for breaking the code, for violating something sacred. Others mocked Jim, saying he let his emotions get in the way of the game. And then there were those who blamed Chrissy. Her name trended for hours. Chrissy Lied became a meme. Her Instagram comments were flooded with snake emojis, betrayal quotes, and demands for answers. She tried to post a story. Something simple. Just a black screen and the words, "I'm sorry." But the backlash only got worse. Sorry for what, though? Y'all playing with this man's heart? You only sorry you got caught? Where was this energy when you was with Cam laughing it up? Meanwhile, Jim disappeared. No updates, no texts, not even his mama could reach him. He cut everyone off until one unexpected post appeared. A throwback photo. Jim and Chrissy, arm in arm, smiling on a rooftop years ago. No caption, no tag, just the image, and it sent everyone into overdrive. Yo, he missing her. He's still in love. This, that? Pain post. But not long after, another photo dropped. This time from Cam, a recent one. Him, shirtless at the beach, captioned, "Some people hold on to what broke them. Me, I let go and live. The jab was obvious, the pettiness undeniable." Chrissy had reached her limit. She couldn't take the whispers, the shame, the guilt anymore. She needed to talk to Jim face to face. No cameras, no filters, just them. She called Mama Jones first. Jim's mother was never one to bite her tongue. "I'm not getting in, y'all. Mess," she said bluntly. "But if you want to see him, you better come correct. He hurt Chrissy. And not just regular hurt, deep hurt. The kind that changes a man." Chrissy nodded through tears. "I know. I just need one chance." She found him 2 days later, at an old recording studio he used to escape to when the pressure got too loud. He was there, sitting in the back. Room with the lights low, a beat looping in the background, untouched for hours. He looked up when she walked in. Didn't say a word. Chrissy stood in the doorway, hands shaking. "I messed up," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. Jim didn't move. "You gave me everything," she continued. "Loyalty, love, even when I didn't deserve it. And I let my confusion get in the way. I let attention from someone else fill spaces you didn't even know were empty." He finally spoke. "I trusted you with my name, my legacy, my heart, and you gave it away in pieces." She walked closer. "I was wrong, and I'm not here to make excuses. I just need you to know I never stopped loving you, even when I was talking to him, even when I lied." He laughed bitterly. "You expect me to feel better knowing you loved me while you betrayed me?" She flinched. "No, I just want to be honest now. Completely. No more lies." Jim stood up, his eyes dark. Honesty don't fix betrayal. It just explains it. And sometimes, the explanation hurts more than the lie. "I know," she said, her voice cracking, "but I'll carry that pain if it means giving you back even a piece of peace." They stood there in silence for what felt like forever. The beat in the background looped again, soft but steady like a heartbeat. Finally, Jim said, "You got anything else you need to confess?" Chrissy took a deep breath. "There was one more time. Last year. We didn't meet up, but we talked. On the phone. For hours. I needed someone to vent to, and I didn't think you were listening." Jim's face turned stone cold. "So while I was breaking my back trying to fix things between us, you were on the phone with the same man who tried to tear us apart?" "I didn't mean..." "Nah," he cut her off. "You did mean to. You just didn't think you'd get caught." Chrissy's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I was scared. I didn't want to lose you. But I also didn't know how to fix us." Jim stared at her, then turned toward the door. "Sometimes you can't fix what's already burned. Jim, please." He paused, then looked over his shoulder. "I loved you more than I loved myself. And that's the part I regret most." He walked out, leaving Chrissy in silence once again. Outside, the storm only got worse. New leaks surfaced, audio clips, text screenshots, even an old voicemail from Cam where he said, "You know you were always mine first." And fans? They went wild. By the time the voicemail leaked, there was no turning back. The damage wasn't just personal anymore, it was public. Fans dissected every word Cam had said in that old recording. The part that made jaws drop, the ending. You know you were always mine first. He just got to the leftovers. That one line set the internet on fire. Thousands of retweets, reaction videos, podcasts debating loyalty, betrayal, and the unwritten rules of relationships, especially when fame and ego are involved. Jim didn't speak for days. Not online, not in person, not even to his closest boys. He stayed in the studio, letting beats speak for him. But even the music sounded heavier, now darker, more painful, like he was trying to pour everything out through the speakers, but still couldn't empty what was inside. Chrissy stayed home, blinds drawn, phone on silent. She couldn't walk outside without being recognized. Every time she stepped onto the porch, she could feel the judgment. Even neighbors started giving her looks. No one said it, but everyone knew. Everyone knew. She tried to call Cam, not to argue, but to beg him to stop. But he didn't pick up. Instead, he posted another story. It was a photo of an old Dipset chain. His caption, "Should have never let a queen get bored. The disrespect was loud, intentional, and it didn't go unnoticed." Jim's cousin posted a fiery live that same night. "Yo, Cam wild for this. That man trying to act like he won something when all he did was play Puppet Master. He messy, real messy." But the real shift came when someone unexpected stepped into the spotlight. Chrissy's longtime friend, Tasha. She went on a podcast to clear the air, but ended up doing the opposite. "I told Chrissy not to meet up with Cam that day," Tasha said. "I told her it was dangerous, not just for her relationship, but for her soul. Cam always had a hold on her." The host leaned in, wide-eyed. "So you think she's still got feelings for him?" Tasha didn't hesitate. "I know she does." Clip went viral in hours. Chrissy was blindsided. She called Tasha furious. "Why would you say that? Why would you do that to me?" Tasha was cold. "Because you dragged me into this the moment you lied to Jim. And now people think I covered for you. I got my own name to protect." The betrayal hit Chrissy like a second wave of pain. She realized she wasn't just losing Jim, she was losing everything. Her circle, her support, her reputation. The life she built was unraveling strand by strand. Meanwhile, Jim's pain was turning to anger, and anger was turning into action. He called a meeting. Close friends, family, no cameras, just real talk. "I need to know who's with me and who's against me," he said, eyes scanning the room. "Because if you play both sides, you gon' get cut off." No one said a word. Cam crossed a line. He continued. "And Chrissy, she let him. But I ain't letting this break me. I'm gonna rebuild. Stronger. Smarter." One of his uncles spoke up. "You sure you done with her?" Jim didn't blink. "She was done with me the second she gave him space," in her heart. Meanwhile, Chrissy had one final card to play. A letter. Not a post, not a live, not a podcast. A handwritten letter she dropped off at the studio. Knowing Jim wouldn't take her calls, he found it tucked inside the door the next morning. The handwriting was familiar. He sat in silence for a moment, then opened it. "I never meant to become the villain in your story," it read. "I just got lost trying to find myself. You were always the one who made me feel seen, loved, protected. And somewhere along the way, I stopped protecting you. I let ego and old wounds guide me. I should have told you everything sooner. I should have chosen you every single time. I'm sorry. Not just for what I did, but for what I didn't do. Fight for us." Jim read it twice, then folded it, placed it in his back pocket, and walked out. He didn't call her. He didn't respond. He went live again. This time, fans could see the change. He looked clearer, calmer, but not softer. "Sometimes the person who breaks you is the one you thought would save you," he said, "but pain teaches you what love really is. And love? It ain't betrayal. It ain't silence. It ain't secrets." Fans flooded the chat. This man healing in real time. Jim speaking fact-rin. Chrissy must be watching this crying, and she was. Tears falling, hand over her mouth, watching the man she loved walk away with dignity she couldn't give. Back, rumors started swirling that Jim was seen with a new woman, a fashion designer from Atlanta. Nothing confirmed. Just whispers. But the blogs ran with it. Jim moving on. New queen spotted at studio. "Chrissy who? Joan's out here glowing up." Chrissy didn't respond. Not publicly, but she started showing up at events alone. No smiles, No interviews, just quiet, almost invisible. One night, she walked into an after-party for a fashion show and ran into Cam. He smirked when he saw her. "So, we burning down kingdoms now?" She didn't laugh. "You ruined everything," she said, eyes locked on his. He shrugged. "Nah, you did that when you answered my text." "I loved him," she whispered. "You just reminded me what it felt like to be wanted." "And now?" Cam asked. She didn't answer, just turned and walked away. Outside, the cameras caught her wiping tears under the streetlights. The caption on the viral clip, "This is what regret looks like." The days stretched on like a slow unraveling of everything Chrissy once thought was permanent. The love, the home, the loyalty, even the memories started to feel like they belonged to someone else. Every corner of the apartment whispered what used to be. The laughter in the kitchen, the late-night arguments that somehow ended in kisses, the dreams they made on that worn-out couch. Now it was just silence and shadows. Jim didn't come back. And this time, Chrissy knew he wasn't going to. She kept watching his social media, hoping for some sign, any sign, that there was still a crack in the wall he'd built around himself. But he didn't post about her, didn't mention her name, didn't even hint at the heartbreak anymore. It was like she'd been erased, like she had become just another lesson in his long book of pain. But then came the video. Jim appeared in a behind-the-scenes documentary about his life post-breakup. It wasn't flashy or staged, just raw footage, him in the studio, in meetings, with friends. A clip of him sitting by the Hudson River, staring out at the water. He looked peaceful, and that hurt more than anything. "I realized I was trying to love someone who hadn't learned how to love themselves," he said at one point. "And when you do that, you don't just lose them, you lose yourself trying to fill their gaps." The comment section exploded. He talking about Chrissy far. This man done glowed up on heartbreak. You can tell he found peace without the drama. Chrissy watched that clip over and over again, not out of anger, not even out of hope, but because hearing the pain in his voice made her feel something real again. She hadn't cried in days, but this time, the tears came soft and slow. Not the kind that scream, the kind that grieve. She started writing again. Not letters to Jim, just journals. Things she never said. Things she never knew how to say. I was scared of being seen. I let the wrong hands hold my insecurities. I confused attention with affection. I lost myself in the silence between us and mistook it for abandonment. But the truth is, I abandoned you first, somewhere in Atlanta. Jim kept moving. New deals, new shows, new energy. The rumors about the fashion designer got louder. Photos surfaced of them at a restaurant, then at a listening party. Nothing confirmed, but the smiles said enough. Meanwhile, Camron started to quiet down. The posts stopped. The shots at Jim faded. Maybe because he realized there was no more game to play. Maybe because, deep down, even he knew this went too far. One night, Chrissy's phone lit up. A message. Not from Jim. From Cam. Was it worth it? She stared at it for a long time, then typed. No. She hit send, then blocked the number. It wasn't about hate or anger. It was about finally choosing peace. Weeks later, Jim's documentary premiered. The crowd showed up heavy. Fans, celebs, old friends, even some faces from the Dipset circle that hadn't been seen in years. People expected drama. Some expected Chrissy to crash the event, but she didn't. She watched from home. In one of the final scenes, Jim stood on a rooftop, city lights behind him, talking to the camera. "You can forgive someone without letting them back into your life," he said. "Sometimes love don't mean forever. Sometimes love is just a season. And when that season ends, you gotta let the leaves fall and start over." Chrissy closed her eyes. She finally understood. She had been holding on to a version of love that no longer existed, trying to repair something without looking at the cracks in her own reflection. And Jim? He had already turned the page, not because he stopped loving her, but because he started loving himself more. Outside, life moved on. The headlines faded. The blogs found new scandals. Fans stopped asking questions. And what once felt like the end of the world became quiet. Chrissy started therapy. She stopped wearing the ring. She took down the photos, not out of bitterness, but because healing sometimes means letting go of the reminders that keep reopening the wound. And Jim, he started performing again. The crowds got bigger, the energy came back, and though he didn't speak her name again, every time he rapped about loyalty, trust, or heartbreak, everyone knew who he meant. It was the love story that lit up the culture and then burned it to the ground. One night, months later, Chrissy sat alone on a bench near the same river where Jim had filmed that scene. She pulled out her phone, scrolled through old photos, one of them laughing, another in matching hoodies, another on the beach. Memories that felt like someone else's life now. She didn't cry this time. She smiled just a little, because even broken love can leave behind something beautiful. And sometimes, letting go is the real closure. But just as she stood to leave, a soft vibration buzzed in her hand. A new message. No name. Just a number. Saw you by the river. Wasn't gonna say anything. But I'm glad you're okay. Her heart skipped. She typed slowly. Thank you. No reply came. She put the phone away and walked off into the night. Some stories don't end with a reunion, some end with growth, some end with peace. And some, they never really end at all. So now that you've seen the full story unfold, every betrayal, every broken promise, every silent tear, you gotta ask yourself, what would you have done? Would you have forgiven Chrissy? Would you have walked away like Jim? Or would you have clapped back like Cam and kept pushing? Because this wasn't just about love. It was about choices. About what happens when the past creeps back in and shakes the very ground you're standing on, when loyalty is tested, when fame magnifies every crack in the foundation, and when healing means breaking completely first. But here's the real question. Do you think Jim and Chrissy are truly done? Or do you believe, deep down, that love like theirs doesn't just disappear? Even after everything, we want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Are you Team Jim, Team Chrissy, or Team Nobody wins in this one? Don't forget to like this video if you were hooked from start to finish and hit that subscribe button because we've got more exclusive drama, deep dives, and stories that make you question everything coming your way. And if you think this one was wild, just wait. What's next is gonna blow your mind. Turn on those post notifications so you don't miss what happens when secrets surface, receipts leak, and hearts get caught in the crossfire. This is more than gossip. This is real emotions, real consequences, and real storytelling. We're just getting started.